What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Arizona Varsity coaching interview. Today, I'm joined by the one and only head coach of the ALA Gilbert North Eagles, Ty Detmer. Coach, appreciate you taking some time to join me this morning and talk some ALA Gilbert North football.
Sounds good. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, let's start first. I mean, 9-1, pretty successful year for you guys, making a run. Got a pretty good seating in 5A. Just what are your thoughts on the season overall as a whole?
Yeah, it's been good. The boys have responded. You know, you lose some guys every year that you're like wondering how you're going to replace and who's going to step up, and we've had some guys do that all along, both sides of the football, and pleasantly surprised with how the season's gone. And now you're in a one and done type of scenario. So it's kind of like starting a whole new season again here, and the boys are excited. So you go out and kind of see what happens here the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Let's talk about one of those guys who stepped up in particular, Ben Livingston, your quarterback. I mean, what a year he's had, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. How have you really seen him kind of take that leadership role and that starter role since the beginning of the year?
Yeah, he came in this summer, moved here from California, and we had a couple other kids transfer in from other schools that had to sit, but Ben just kind of came in with that swagger and kind of mentality, ready to go. He works hard at it. We put a lot on his plate in the pass game, the run game, RPO, all those things, and he's really played well. He's taking care of the football first and foremost. That's kind of where things start, and then he's thrown it really accurate. He's had a high completion percentage. The yards aren't really there. 5 of our 10 games, we've got a running clock in the second half. So hasn't played a ton in some of those games second
That's
half.
a good
But,
thing, though. That's a good thing,
you
though.
know, he, it's a great thing. You keep guys healthy and you end up shortening the game a little bit. So you like it as coaches, but the players
Yeah.
always want their stats and things like that. So, but he's a great kid, great young man, and puts a ton of time and energy into it.
Coach, how complex do you get with your offense? I know I talked to 3A schools, 4A schools, 5A schools, 6A schools, and it seems like everybody kind of has a different level of to where they go when it comes to, running their offense and doing things. How do you evaluate, how challenging you can make things, or how challenging do you make things?
Yeah, Justin Woods, our offensive coordinator, and he spent time at Boise with all the formation wrinkles and run game and play action. And then he spent time, he was on the staff as a tight end coach with Zach Hill at ASU. And so, he's taken bits and pieces from everywhere he's been, 14 years of college coaching and has brought it in here. And there's plenty more we could probably be doing, but he does a great job of trying to give the boys what they can handle. And once you kind of handle a certain piece of it, then we add on to it. And he does a great job with that. And so, really excited about the game plan every week, and we've been aggressive. We've pounded the ball at people. We're kind of a mix of take a little bit of what the defense gives you, and then he does a great job of pulling from the play bank that he's got and tweaking it from week to week versus what we're going to see.
Between him and obviously Tim Doherty coaching your defense, and I know a couple of other coaches on your staff as well, just how much do you rely on them, and how big have they been for you and your team this year?
Well, they make my job easy. I mean, got voted region coach of the year, but I'm like, man, those guys put all the work into it, and our staff does a great job. And it's a culmination of all those pieces working together and being on the same page, and then coaching it like it needs to be coached. So Tim's got a wealth of experience and knowledge of the game on the defensive side. Has been a outstanding head coach in Illinois in the Hall of Fame back there, and so, between him and Justin, we talk and try to, get on the same page going into a game, and they're both great resources to bounce things off of, as I hope I am for them as well, and talking ball, and so it's a great combination, and those two guys do a tremendous job of getting the boys ready week in and week out.
Is there an area of growth that you can pinpoint for your team this season? I know you played a couple of close games early on in the year. You had 2 wins and the loss to Desert Edge, but after that loss to Desert Edge, it seems like you guys kind of really just took off. What did you see outcome maybe coming out of that game and the game after that, and then just throughout the year, you guys were able to put so many points up on the board?
Yeah, I mean, you want to win every game, but sometimes a loss, you can learn a lot about yourself and your team through that. And I felt like that fourth quarter of the Desert Edge, we just didn't play our style of ball. We felt like our effort dropped when we got behind, and a great learning lesson for our team. And the players responded. They went to work the next week, worked harder, and have put the time in. So I think more of the mentality and the mindset of our players not wanting to have that feeling again really kicked in, and we ran through the region, and now you're into the playoffs, and hopefully you learn from that game, like you can't come in flat, you can't take things for granted, and you got to go play every down, and that's what they've done to this point.
We talked about Ben. I know Isaac Massey is another one of those guys who's done a lot of good things offensively for you guys. Chase Groman too on the offensive line. But who are some guys on the defense you felt like have really stepped up this season?
Yeah, Cutter Thorley's our inside backer. He's checking the front and the defense. Most every time we come up, we try to be multiple in what we do based on what we're seeing. So he's done a great job of getting us in the right defenses and moving guys around. And then Stockton Dye plays. He moved from safety last year, an all region safety, to an outside backer nickel type of player. I think he's got 4 interceptions or 5 for the year, making plays on the edge. Zion Leilawai is playing the other edge, and then our defensive line, Gavin McKinney, kind of leads that group, and but we rotate in 4 or 5 different guys, keeping people fresh, and not the biggest defensive line, but they're active and they get after it. And then our secondary, a lot of those guys are back from last year. Weston Powell, Isaac Massey's playing both ways for us, as Weston is at running back. So, and then Garrett Baker and Anthony Garrell's on the corner. The one thing I've been impressed with our defense is every throw's contested. They may make a play or get a PI or something like that, but we're covering people, and we're running with people, and we're not just giving up easy throws and easy completion. So been really impressed with that group as a whole, and they've done a great job through the year so far. And obviously, you got to do it week in and week out here at this point.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the playoffs. Number 2 seed, you get that first round bye, and now you're faced up against a Mountain View Marana team you guys have seen before. What are you expecting going into this matchup, and what has been the talk for your team this week?
Yeah, they are a tough physical team. They're going to be downhill run game right at you, and so we got to bring that physicality and try to stuff the run and then force them to throw it. So they did a great job against Buena last week, and kind of routed them and dominated the game up front. So really comes down to that defensive line, linebacker core, your front 7 on the defensive side, and offensively they give you some issues inside with their front and movement, and they've got some pressure packages that you got to be prepared for. So we got to go in and be able to execute, and at this point every team's dangerous, and you got to be prepared for the unexpected a little bit as you go.
What do you think is going to be the biggest key for your guys over the next 3 weeks to make that run to Mountain America Stadium?
Yeah, if you win this one, you play either Cactus Shadows or ACP, who we played both teams this year. Both, were hard fought games. I think we beat Cactus Shadows by 2. We know what Donovan Dixon brings to the table, and then ACP is just a good, solid football team. Their QB's back from injury. I think he started against us the first game back when we played him earlier. But then, anything can happen. You got Desert Views had a great, outstanding year. Canyon Views over there, Mountain Points over there, in our side of the bracket here. So it's one of those years where you may play teams a couple times, and if you win that game, you hate to have to play them again. If you lose it, you're chomping at the bit to get a second chance. So people will be gunning for us, but that's the position you're win if you have a successful season. So the old cliche, take it 1 week at a time. We got to get this one first, and then see what happens as you go.
Ty Detmer, head coach of the ALA Gilbert North Eagles. Coach, couple more questions here for you. I just want to get your perspective. Obviously, it was kind of a quick change from Queen Creek to Gilbert North, and now you've really settled into your second year. How do you feel like the players, the team, the community is kind of rallied behind what you guys are doing?
Well, they were very accepting last year. It was kind of a shock for everybody, I think, with moving over here and making that change, for both schools. It kind of came as a surprise a little bit. So, but the boys bought in right away last year, made it to the semifinals, lost to a good Cactus team. And then, as we've gone through this off season, last spring, summer, the boys have just bought in, and a big part of it is Justin Wood and Tim Doherty, just the expectations they have on each side of the football. And then I can kind of mesh it all together and try to make sure we're all on the same page. We're working towards that one goal, so the people here have been outstanding. Love being here and a part of it. It's a great group of young men, and they work hard. They do great things off the field as well, and so we're really proud of our team and the things that they do both on and off the field.
Is there a favorite thing you've done with this team, or favorite thing you like to do with this team off the field?
We spend a lot of time together. We've gone and served food and helped at homeless shelter. We do some service projects. Last year we took them all to the BYU ASU game. That
Oh, there
was
you go.
pretty entertaining. So it was we were split probably 50-50s, BYU fans and ASU fans. This week we're taking them again Saturday, take our whole team, program, again this week for the West Virginia game. So
Mhm.
those are the fun times you have with the boys outside of just practice and the monotony of that part of it. I enjoy the things we do outside of football and interacting, kind of having a good time with them, and a lot of taunting going on last year at the BYU game. So this year, I think we'll all be a united force rooting for ASU this year. So
Well, there you go. There you go. I'm sure Kenny Dillingham will appreciate that. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you at least one Heisman Trophy question. As winning the Heisman Trophy back in the day, is there any player in particular you've seen? I know there's a lot of great quarterbacks: Ty Simpson, Julian Sayin, Fernando Mendoza. Is there anyone, or even if it's not quarterback, any player in particular that you feel like is kind of been the standout for that this year? Because it really seems to kind of be, a lot of different players can make the case for it this year.
yeah, for sure. It's kind of one of those years where, sometimes it's based on team success. You look at
Mhm.
Mendoza and some of those guys where their team's winning and they're a huge part of it, right? But they got a great team around them sometimes too. So, as a voter, you're trying to find, okay, who's actually the best player, not just playing on the best team, and who's really making a difference for that team. So this is one of those years where, yeah, it's been up and down for some guys, and 1 week they're hot, and the next week they're not,
Mhm.
and so that consistency is starting to play out for some of these guys, and having big years. So, I don't know. I think people are. It's one of those years where everybody holds on to their ballot until the final week, and the championship games are played, and really get a feel for who's that guy this year. So it'll be fun to watch down the stretch here, and some big games coming still to play. So that makes it exciting for everybody.
Absolutely. Coach Detmer, really appreciate you taking some time to join me this morning, and hopefully we'll be catching up with you down the line soon.
I appreciate it, Adam. Thanks.
Thanks.